comment on my age. I do appreciate you coming out. As you'll see from all the panelists, we joined the military with a desire to join the military. I came from a family who had a long history. Loomis that was a quartermaster officer from George Washington. I don't know if I have any of his genes, but we do know that that occurred. And then I've got two grandfathers that served in the Civil War. I joined in 1967 right here from Albuquerque. I'm a homeboy. And have returned many times to this town because I love it. But when I joined the Army, I enlisted and ended up going to Officer Candidate School of Infantry at Fort Benning, Georgia, and then made a slight detour to a small place called the Republic of Vietnam. I served a year there in combat as an infantry platoon leader and received 2 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart Air Medal, among others. I returned home, and rather than return to civilian life, I joined the reserves, returned to school at the University of New Mexico, and served in a variety of positions over the remainder of my career. Some here locally as company commander, staff officers, some in St. Louis as the officer, chief of military education for all of the Army Reserve. And then was an inspector general out in California and had the opportunity to conduct a sexual harassment survey of our unit out there. This was right after Tailhook. Some of you may remember that that was the Navy pilot, sorry about that. Navy, it's okay. That was the scandal at a hotel in Las Vegas during one of their conventions. We conducted the survey, and it revealed, among other things, that there was a very strong tolerance for gays in the military, and this was done in 1993. It also confirmed something that I've felt strongly about, and perhaps Pat will address later, is that women in the military under Don't Ask, Don't Tell are at a distinct disadvantage whether they're gay or straight. I ended up at Fort Hood as the chief of military war plans, engineer war plans, and spent a lot of time doing the plans, some of which you've seen the results for, some of which are not our plans, and I don't take responsibility for them in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we also, when Kim Il-sung died, we spent time in Korea rewriting the plans for the defense of Korea. In 1996, after the very night that I received my 4th Meritorious Service Medal from our commanding general, I went home to find my house on fire. The house had been arsoned by a previous partner who is no longer a partner, and in the course of the fire investigation, they found photos that we had taken, and the fire marshal, civilian fire marshal, this was an off-post home, turned it over to the military. The military then began to process me under administrative procedures for discharge. We fought that first with the help of a conservative military JAG attorney who did a super job for me. He explained from the very beginning that he didn't believe that gays should serve in the military, but he did believe that everyone and anyone should have the full right to a complete defense when they're in procedures like that, and he did a super job for me. I was discharged just 5 days before I was eligible to retire for my 20-year retirement. We maintained at that time, before that time, and subsequently, that the Army had violated their own regulations concerning that. The Army, as they did many times with many other service members, took what little information they actually had and tried to make it an appearance that I used force, coercion, or intimidation with one or more of my partners. in spite of the sworn testimony of those very people that they were engaged in consensual relationships. And so we succeeded in getting that finding reversed through administrative procedures, but they declined to give my retirement back. So we ended up in federal court claims in Washington, D.C. Before a conservative judge. And the ACLU is going to talk here in a little bit later, but the judge was not he did not like the way the Army presented their case. Actually, it wasn't the Army, it's the Department of Justice represents the military in all cases like this. And he found that they had not followed their regulations, and he ordered my retirement. Thank heavens. But I gladly returned to Albuquerque and have been involved in the fight against Don't Ask, Don't Tell since then. So each of the panelists have a slightly different take on what happened to them. So, Vic?